Padre Pio was a man unlike any other, a soul marked by divine mystery and unfathomable grace. Born as Francesco Forgione on May 25, 1887, in the quiet town of Pietrelcina in southern Italy, he was raised in a humble home, surrounded by poverty, but rooted in deep, unshakable faith. His parents, Grazio and Maria, didn't have much in material wealth, but what they gave their children was something far more valuable, a love for God that would shape the destiny of their young son in ways no one could have imagined. From the age of 5, young Francesco experienced visions, intense, vivid encounters with Jesus, the Virgin Mary, and his guardian angel. To him, these moments were not dreams or fantasies, they were real. While other children played games, Francesco sought solitude, drawn to prayer like a moth to flame. His neighbors noticed there was something different about him, not in a troubling way, but in a way that made them stop and wonder. As he grew older, so did his sense of calling. Francesco decided to give his life entirely to God, but the path to priesthood required education his family couldn't afford. In a powerful act of love and sacrifice, his father left Italy for America to earn money. He worked long, difficult hours just to send enough back for Francesco's schooling, and it worked. At 15, he entered the Capuchin novitiate in Morcone and took the name Pio in honor of Saint Pius. Life in the monastery was anything but easy. The rules were strict, the labor was exhausting, the days were long. On top of it all, Padre Pio was plagued with mysterious illnesses, chronic fevers, extreme fatigue, and pain that defied medical explanation. But instead of resisting the suffering, he embraced it. To him, pain wasn't something to flee from. It was a bridge to Christ, a way to participate in his passion. At 23, Padre Pio was ordained a priest. Soon after, his health took a turn for the worse and he was sent back to Pietrelcina to recover. But instead of fading into silence, his spiritual life deepened even further. He experienced fierce spiritual battles, visions not only of heavenly beings but also of demonic forces that tried to crush his soul. Through it all, he clung to prayer. Prayer became his fortress, his lifeline, his weapon. In 1916, Padre Pio was assigned to the remote monastery of San Giovanni Rotondo. It would become his home for the rest of his life, and the setting for the miraculous events that would define him. On September 20th, 1918, while deep in prayer, he had a vision of the crucified Christ. In that moment, intense pain shot through his hands, feet, and side. When he opened his eyes, he saw bleeding wounds, marks of the crucifixion. He had received the stigmata. These wounds bled for 50 years. They never healed, never got infected, and never had a scientific explanation. Doctors came, skeptics investigated, but no one could understand how or why these wounds existed. And Padre Pio never sought fame or recognition. He accepted the stigmata as a sacred burden, a visible sign of a deeper spiritual reality. News of the miraculous wounds spread quickly. Thousands began to travel to San Giovanni Rotondo. Some were curious, others were desperate, seeking healing, comfort, or guidance. Many walked away with more than they came for. Padre Pio spent countless hours in prayer and in the confessional, sometimes hearing confessions for 12 to 16 hours straight. People said he could read their souls. He knew their sins before they spoke. Yet he never condemned, only encouraged, advised, and lovingly led them back to God. Even more mysterious was his ability to see the future, or perhaps to see beyond what ordinary eyes could. Again and again, people recounted stories where Padre Pio warned them about dangers they hadn't yet encountered. He would urge someone not to take a trip, and later they'd learn that disaster struck the very path they avoided. His warnings were never vague. They were specific, timely, and often life-saving. But Padre Pio always rejected the idea that these were his own powers. He insisted that everything he knew came from God, that he was merely a servant. He lived simply, humbly. He never tried to profit from his gifts or gain attention. All he wanted was to bring souls closer to God. Stories of healing and miracles surrounded him. Some were cured physically, others were transformed spiritually. Many said just being near him brought peace like they had never known before. Even after his death in 1968, people continued to feel his presence, some in dreams, others during moments of crisis, when they claimed he appeared to comfort them or guide them through the darkness. But Padre Pio's life wasn't without controversy. Within the church, some questioned the stigmata and the stories. Investigations were launched. Critics tried to discredit him. Yet through it all, the fruits of his ministry could not be denied. Thousands were drawn closer to God because of him. And in 2002, the church canonized him. Pope John Paul II declared him a saint, forever honoring the life of the humble friar who had changed so many lives. Still, perhaps one of the most powerful and overlooked parts of his legacy is what some call the forgotten prophecy. Padre Pio reportedly spoke of dark times ahead, times of confusion, of spiritual crisis, of great trials that would test humanity. He warned the faithful to stay vigilant, to remain close to God, to pray and fast and love with all their hearts. In a world that often feels lost and divided, his words ring louder than ever. Do not be afraid, trust in God. The storm will pass, but your soul must be anchored in faith. Padre Pio's story is more than history. It is a living message. A call, a challenge, a comfort. It reminds us that even in the darkest nights, faith can light the way, that miracles still happen, that prayer still has power, and that one person, with a heart surrendered to God, can shake the world. Even now, people travel to San Giovanni Rotondo, to the very place where Padre Pio lived, prayed, and suffered. They come searching for hope, for healing, for direction. And often they leave changed, because Padre Pio still speaks, not with a loud voice, but with the quiet strength of a soul united with the divine. One of the most powerful aspects of Padre Pio's legacy is the impact he had on the people around him. He didn't preach loudly, he didn't seek fame, but his quiet strength, his deep compassion, and his unwavering faith touched the hearts of thousands. People left his presence feeling lighter, more hopeful, and more determined to live better lives. His message was simple but profound. Trust in God, live with love, and never lose hope. Even within the church, there were times when people questioned Padre Pio. Some were skeptical of his stigmata, others wondered about the many stories surrounding him. But over time, the weight of the evidence, the thousands of testimonies, the deep spiritual fruits of his ministry became impossible to ignore. The church eventually recognized him not just as a faithful priest, but as a man truly chosen by God. In 2002, Padre Pio was canonized as a saint by Pope John Paul II. Today, people from all over the world continue to visit his shrine in San Giovanni Rotondo, seeking healing, inspiration, and spiritual renewal. Padre Pio's life teaches us many things. It shows us that even in a world filled with noise and doubt, a life of prayer, humility, and service can shine like a beacon. It reminds us that faith is not just about words, but about actions, about how we treat others, how we face suffering, and how we stay true to our beliefs even when it's hard. His story is a call to all of us, to look deeper, to trust more, and to never forget the power of a life lived for something greater. There is also the matter of the forgotten prophecy. Among the many things Padre Pio said during his lifetime, there are words that some believe were warnings, insights into events that were yet to come. He spoke about times of great confusion, about the need for the faithful to hold strong, about darkness and trials that would test the world. Some believe these words are more relevant now than ever before. In a time when many feel lost, when values are shifting and uncertainty fills the air, Padre Pio's message stands firm. Do not be afraid. Stay close to God. Pray, fast, and love. These are the tools of the Spirit. These are the ways we prepare for whatever may come. Padre Pio was not just a man of the past. His story continues today. His life continues to inspire, to guide, and to touch hearts. For those who believe, his presence is still felt, especially in times of need. For those who seek, his life offers a path, a way of faith that is real, humble, and powerful. In remembering Padre Pio, we remember the strength of faith, the mystery of grace, and the quiet miracles that still happen in our world every day.